Hello. This is the Alicia Gets Raw and Real episode of the I See Glass Children podcast. I was encouraged to do this recording as a surprise, unplanned thing for the podcast. And I have to be honest with you, I'm not really excited about it because I'm going to make myself really vulnerable in telling you what has happened since a year ago when I decided to do the podcast and where we are with the podcast and what's coming up with the podcast. So I'm just going to dive into this. It was a year ago that I made the decision, yes, to move forward with doing a podcast. People have been telling me for years that I should do one after my TEDx talk, and I was not ready. And in January of 2025, I started the process. And the results have not been what I wanted them to be. What I wanted is thousands of subscribers and likes and shares and different things. Not because I value vanity metrics, but because the more people that listen to this podcast, the more lives are going to be changed. And as of today, I have 113 subscribers on YouTube, and I haven't checked Spotify or Apple yet. So there's a pretty big gap there in my expectations versus what reality is. And so towards the end of 2025, I started to spiral a little bit and go into a depression because I haven't been getting the results that I wanted through this podcast. And I had to do some analysis and some evaluating to understand why. I needed to figure out the mystery behind why this isn't being listened to and it's not being shared. And one of the reasons that I had such high expectations for how this podcast was going to grow is because of the subreddit group for Glass Children. There are over 3,000 members. It's actually grown quite a bit since the podcast started, which is positive. I created this podcast for adult glass children. That's a community of over 3,000 adult glass children. And my expectation was that everybody was just going to jump on it and listen to it and share it. And the feedback that I got from adult glass children was, this is so good. I'm so glad you're doing this, Alicia. Thank you for doing this. I'm glad somebody is out there doing a podcast for us, but I can't listen to it because it's too triggering for me. Okay. I get that. Listen, I did 21 interviews with adult glass children from 11 different countries, 6 different continents. And because of my crazy work schedule, I did them in a compressed period of time. It was something like 14 weeks, maybe 15 weeks, like something nuts. I would go to work, I would come home, and I'd knock out 2 or 3 interviews. In some cases, because I interviewed people from all over the world, I did interviews at 3 o'clock in the morning, at like 1 o'clock in the morning, like all different times. And in terms of getting triggered, I totally understand that because I listened to 21 hours of trauma in a super short period of time. And that took a real toll on me. Like, this whole project has taken a toll on me and on my family. Let me just tell you, my husband is a saint, because what this did is it took a jackhammer to things that I have buried under 10 feet of concrete. And I really feel that it would have taken me many, many years of going to therapy to crack through that concrete to really get to the hard stuff. But doing these interviews, although incredibly difficult, has also been extremely beneficial for me. I can't say it was fun going through therapy, but super helpful. So, anyway, all that to say that, yeah, I get how this can be triggering. I do understand that. So, okay, so there's kind of like compartment number one, or answer number one, why this isn't spreading like the wildfire that I hoped that it would. And then I thought, okay, here's another clue. So my family, who I absolutely love and adore, and they love me too. Only two family members that I know of have listened to the podcast. And they didn't have any feedback for me about it. And to my knowledge, they haven't shared it. Now, I'm not angry about it. I just thought this is really interesting, because they love me. And so why aren't they doing something more with this? And have I asked them that question? No, I haven't. So I'm not being critical. These are observations that I have been making as I've been trying to figure out what's going on with the podcast. So then, my friends, like friends that I've had for, oh my gosh, so many years, who adore, like, I love them so much. They're second family to me. My friends have only listened to a couple of episodes. They haven't really shared it either. And so I asked some questions to one of them and I said, help me understand. And what she said to me is that she could only listen to two. And that in two of the episodes, the two that she listened to, she was sobbing the whole time, and that it was just too much. It's just too much for her. And these were important clues for me because, like I said, I wondered, is it me? Is it, am I not good enough? I mean, I'm not a professionally trained podcaster. Um, is it the format? Is the format not right? And that's why I spiraled into a real depression and funk, trying to figure this out, because this is like, not that there's anything wrong with making money, but this is not a money project for me. This is a passion project. I don't have sponsors for this yet. This is a passion. I'm doing this because I want to change the world. That's what I'm trying to say. And so I realized after assessing all of this that I severely underestimated the emotional impact this podcast and these stories are having on people, on all people, even people who have not experienced childhood trauma. And so that has left me in this place of what do I do? You know, what do I do? Seeing glass children and helping glass children, this is something that can save lives. And you might think that I'm exaggerating. I am not exaggerating. There is some upcoming research about the suicide rates of people who have siblings with high needs versus siblings without. And it will blow your mind when you hear this. So who doesn't want to help save lives, right? Like who doesn't want to help somebody walk the planet in a more supported and healthier way? My thinking is everybody wants to do that. Everybody wants to help other people feel seen and more supported. So I've got this dilemma, guys, and I don't know what to do, right? The dilemma is that here is this topic that is so important, so life-changing, and so difficult. And people aren't listening to it. And what's the answer? I don't know. Like, I don't know what the answer is. I really don't. I'm not a PR person. I'm not a marketing person. I am a person who did a TEDx talk, who is now doing a podcast, and who is advocating for glass children everywhere that I can. And people aren't listening to this podcast. And like, this is hard for me because I don't want your sympathy. I really don't. That's not what I want from you. I don't, I understand that this is one of a million podcasts out there, right? Like, you can throw a dart and you can't throw a dart without hitting a podcast. I get it. I want something else from you, which I'm going to tell you about at the end. So please stick around while I finish this, and I'm not going to go too much longer. It's hard for me to talk about because there's a part of me that feels like a failure. But I have to look at this logically and not emotionally and figure out what to do. So, where the podcast has been, like, I really wanted to start off with the most gut wrenching stories, gut wrenching interviews that I have. And I was wisely advised by my producer not to do that. So, believe it or not, I have been building up to a crescendo for you of stories. And right before the holidays in 2025, we were at that crescendo point where the next stories are going to be harder. The next set will be harder than the last several. And they're not even the worst of the worst stories. That's going to be a season 2. God willing, we get there, season 3. And I realized I have to take a break. I have to take a break for myself. I think that audience needs a break. It's the holidays. Let's start over in 2026. And so this is how we're starting. I want to let you know that the next few episodes are going to be more difficult than the rest. I will also have more mental health professionals that are coming on to talk. And I have an ask of you. And my ask is share this freaking podcast. Every person who listens to this, you are making a difference in that person's life. Like, share it with your ministers, share it with your teachers, share it with your mental health professionals, share it with your friends, share it with, oh, check this out. This was a major surprise. Share it with the parents of glass children. So listen to this that happened. I specifically said, and this just shows that you're not listening to me. I specifically said in the introduction, parents, this podcast is not for you. It's for your children. I don't know if that's literally what I said, but that is definitely the message that I was conveying. This is for your children. This is not for you. And guess who the people are that are actually sending me comments and questions? It's the parents. It's the parents. I'm going to read some of these to you. It blew my mind. Okay, so from a parent, I wonder if you have an instance of a glass child carrying great resentment and hostility towards parents who were sensitive to the glass child experience and did their best to mitigate it, but inevitably messed up along the way. Any guidance for this situation? Another comment. My wife has caught up with all the past episodes and is now listening to this one. She loves it all too. We hope to introduce our son to it sometime during the holidays. Mind blown. Another one. Hi, I am the parent of a glass child. My son was diagnosed at the age of 14 with PDD-NOS, high functioning autism, after years of therapy and wrong diagnosis. He is 32. I think she meant he is 32. My daughter is 29, and thanks to you, I am finally realizing and understanding how it has impacted her. Holy cow. Listen to this. She is currently taking space from me as she is trying to heal. I want her to know what I've learned from you and your guests, and I am writing an apology letter. Wow, to this mother. Wow. My problem is that even in writing to you, I get stuck on what to say next. So it's having an impact, and that's great. So this is why one of the asks that I have for you is share it with the parents that you know. Because look, here's the deal. Everybody knows a high needs family, which means you know a glass child. Let me just say that again. If you are listening to the words coming out of my mouth right now, you know a high needs family, which means you know a glass child. One of the things that you can do, which will take zero time, is you can forward this podcast to those parents. And if the glass child that you know is an adult, you can forward this podcast to them. And there are other things that you can do too. You can see the glass child. You can talk to the glass child. You can ask the parents of the glass child if their glass child can come over to your house and do things with your kiddos. Like there's stuff that you can do, but at the minimum, you can send them this information so that they understand and they learn more about what is actually happening to their kids. And this podcast isn't just about the trauma that happens to us when we're children. Like that's part of it. This podcast is more about what happens to us when we become adults. How the impact of the childhood trauma affects the way we live, we see the world, we see ourselves when we are adults. Okay. So that was surprise number one. Surprise number two is that after I did the last episode, which was for parents, I think we called it What Every Parent of a Special Needs Child Needs to Hear, something like that. I had 2 adult glass children with me in studio, and we gave advice to parents. And after that episode came out, I got criticism. And the criticism that I got came from a very unexpected place. It came from adult glass children. This happened in December also. And I really had to step away, step back and consider the comments because I want to take feedback. If there's something that I can be doing better, I want to know what it is, right? Especially because I created this for adult glass children. There's a lot of legit things that they're saying in those comments, a lot. And at the same time, I am not going to shame parents. I'm just not going to do it. Shaming is not an effective tool for getting people to change their behavior. And I think that plus shaming is not the person that I want to be. That's not who I want to be. Now, calling things into accountability, absolutely. Yeah. Calling a spade, yes. Shining a light on things that people are trying to hide, 100%. But shaming, no, I'm not going to do that. As angry as I have been about the things that have happened to me in my life, and there has been a lot of anger and a lot of rage that I have chosen to work through. I have a lot of compassion for parents because they didn't ask for this either. We didn't ask for it, and they didn't ask for it either. So, this has been tough. This has been really tough. And I said earlier that I'm not saying this because I want your sympathy. What I want you to do is I want you to share this. I want you to have conversations about it. I want you to do the hard thing. I want you to listen to this. I want you to listen to the stories. Like, we should all be making space for people who are hurting and figure out ways to help them. And I don't know, I don't understand yet what it is about this like subset of trauma, glass child trauma, that is so hard for people to listen to. But I think this is one of our responsibilities as human beings, as occupiers of this planet, is we need to make space for people who are hurting, and we need to help them. And you can do that. You have the ability to do that. You can listen. You can share. You can reach out to a high needs family. And here's the other thing, because here's what's going to happen is, with the rest of season 1, it's going to get harder. Now, I'm balancing the toughness of the stories with more interviews with mental health professionals. So far, we've only had one, but it's going to get harder. But this is reality, folks. This is what people are dealing with, what children are dealing with. So here's my other ask, in addition to sharing it, having conversations with people you know about this, sharing it with clergy, with teachers, with mental health professionals. That's a whole other topic. High needs families. Somebody who is listening to the sound of my voice knows someone who is more influential than I and can help me spread this message. Put me in touch with that person. Send them the link to this podcast. You can reach me through my contact form on my website, which is iseeglasschildren.com, ISEE glasschildren.com. Connect me to the person you know. If that is somebody who is a famous actor, a famous singer, a politician, somebody in the media, a journalist, somebody who does documentaries. And it doesn't have to be the United States. This is a global podcast. I just found out we've got somebody in Saudi Arabia who is listening to this, which is phenomenal. But someone internationally who has more influence than I, please connect me to that person so that we can spread the word. And I told you I only had a couple asks. I guess I have one more ask. Please comment on these episodes, because your comments are like hugs for the people who have the courage to tell their stories. And they need some hugs. Like, this was not easy for them. They had to go back in time and relive some of their trauma, and they were brave. They were courageous to talk about what's happened to them. Leave them a comment. Say something like, I'm sorry for what you went through, or I see you, or thank you for sharing, or something like that, so they know that they've been seen by you too. Thank you for listening. Here's to a great rest of season 1 and to a great 2026. Thank you.